Makoko and Iwaya, under the mainland local government area of Lagos State, are largely fishing communities. A large number of people live on steel-supported shanties above the Lagos Lagoon, while the rest live on land. Some very prominent communities include Pedro and Okoagbon villages, among others. The water slum settlers have their administrative structure. This is evident by the number of traditional heads called Bale that exists in the area. How did these communities start, and where did the earlier settlers come from? Are they illegal immigrants, as some have described them?
This place started, we started from a far away, which is, these are not the first place we are. We left from somewhere to another place, one place to the other. We are originally from the time of colonial, before the colonial could come and take the land. We are from Alada down to Huekan, from Huekan to Weshere, from Weshere to Kweme, back to Badagry. Before our forefather came to Badagry, we stand in this in Akpa. From that Akpa, we crossed down, our forefather crawled down to Badagry. And then the woman following by then stand on her own in this thing. Near Badagry there.
People living here are one. So the major name is Pedro Village. Like me myself, me that I'm talking to, I'm from Badagry West. Badagry West. So most people here are from Badagry. So, and then I think, let me even say, even if they are here and they are immigrants, if you live in a country for 10, 20 years, I think you are a citizen of that country. So looking at that angle also, we cannot even call anybody here an immigrant because they've been here for a very long time.
The part of the Lagos Lagoon occupied by the water slum settlers is highly and conspicuously polluted. The deplorable living condition and lack of proper sanitation facilities has over the years turned the Makoko waterfront into a fertile breeding ground for diseases, infections and germs, among others. Men, women and children go about their daily businesses rather oblivious of their polluted environment. Yet, daily, their activities aggravate the level of degradation in the area.
People here, what they do, I don't think it's something that can cause any pollution to the water. They go fish and go out and sell their fish to people in the states, in the sea. So I don't think that can cause any pollution to the water. And then looking at the water yourself, you are an eyewitness that the water is not polluted by anything. Because if you put your hand in the water now, there's nothing that you can say that is an effect that the water can cause on you compared to the water we have up there. Like for example, last 2 weeks I witnessed the rain at Maryland. Even on Yabatek, the rain, I know what it caused. And then the water, my leg entered the water and I know the effects it have on my skin. So you cannot compare the water here to that there, because you yourself, you are eyewitness that the water here is clean and pure.
The population of the communities, according to the Bale of Makoko, Raymond Olaya, is about 2 million. This figure, he says, is growing rapidly and at an alarming rate.
The population of Makoko, you can't imagine it, it's over 1 million to 2 million. They procreate like mice.
The polluted water under the poorly constructed shanties built on stilts with planks and bamboos serve as waste dumps and toilets, among others. In spite of feces floating on the dingy-looking water or the nauseating stench emanating from it, members of the community, especially children, swim in it.
Water is not our problem, because before the bonus, our great-grandfather will live in cope with this water, and we think there's nothing like cholera complaint.
We must live in nearby water because of the fishing.
Residing in this obviously dingy coastal area is important for the sustenance of the means of livelihood of many of these Nigerians. This lifestyle is, however, at a cost. Because of
But by the mosquito, we have that in this period of season, because we have a dry season and flood season, rain season. So by the time when the flood season came, the mosquito will come out.
They will shout. So say so person have already died. When we get there, what is the cause? They will say it's malaria. And then when you can saw she or her eyes, you know that it's malaria. So when we came back to our house, okay, how are we going to do? So let's go and bury that one. Maybe between the 4 or 5 hours, we hear another shouting. So that type of case is always happening.
the environmental and health challenges notwithstanding, children in this community appear very happy.
Us now, we are a fisherman. My dad and I know me now. My mom is for selfish in market. My dad is going in the water.
This is one of the very few privately run nursery and primary schools that serve Pedro village. Local schools like this have produced university undergraduates.
I was born here. This is about 30 years old that I've been living here with my family, with my father, with my brother. But now I school in Lagos. I graduated in Abuja. But when I came here, come and see my people, it was here. I was bitter. Even though go and see the government, I not see the supporter. When I see this happen, I say, what is it government? Are they supposed to do this?
Benjamin, who claims he recently graduated from the University of Abuja, is bitter and angry because of the recent demolition of the Makoko waterfront. His house was somewhere here. The recent clearing of the water shanty settlement by the Lagos State government has been attracting a lot of outcries from members of the community. This is where we've been sleeping. We don't even have a place to keep our things. They should please help us. We are also Lagosians. Our fathers and our mothers are Lagosians too, this woman lamented.
The state government issued a quit notice to people in this community. And based on what I read from the quit notice, the quit notice stated that the state government said people here should pack their property from here within 72 hours.
As I came back to here, I heard that they give us to 72 hours, which is still days. It's not so. It's not cool. It's unfair. 72 hours. How are we going to get the money? How?
We did not just give them 72 hours notice. Prior to the 72 hours notice, we had a meeting in my office over a month ago with the community leaders, with the ballets and the chiefs in the area, telling the leaders, the community leaders, what the government's plan for the area was, i.e. clearing the entire shanties from the water body and why we're doing it, the reason we're doing it was all spelled out to the community leaders over a month ago. So it didn't come to anybody, especially the people that reside there, as a surprise. Some people did move by themselves before the government went in to commence the clearing work. So the 72 hours notice that you saw was something that government must give before such activities is carried out.
Everything you can think of exists in Pedro Village, from schools, mosques, churches, beauty salons, grocery stores, bukas and canoes, to local water stations and makeshift filling stations, among others. Environmentalists and some members of Makoko say, due to the level of degradation at the water settlement, the action of the government is justifiable. They are, however, not happy at the way it was carried out and also query the motives behind the demolition.
The landowners feel bad that government did not even mind them. They just did a kind of running over the land. They think they are in a battlefield. But for the squatters on the sea or on the lagoon, my own thinking is that you don't throw the baby with the bad water. Do you get it? You see, these people, yes, they are not staying there legally, but they are very useful to Lagos State. They are the commercial activities they engage in does do a lot of good to our GDP, and these people are contributing enormously to commerce in Lagos. So why do you have to just do away with them like that?
Makoko is a place where it is difficult to provide social amenities, basic essentials, proper sanitation, access to health care, environmental sanitation, access to safe water. These are challenges around Makoko. Security is also, there are some security implications. So definitely things cannot be left as they are. What we are concerned about is government's approach and also is government's ultimate intention around Makoko. But in all fairness, it's not so good for the inhabitants of Makoko, or any slum at that, whether you talk about Makoko, Badia and the rest of them. They are not living in healthy condition in this 21st century, where we are aiming to meet up with the 8 development goals of the MDGs. It's important that when we have scenarios as we do in Makoko, there is an effort to reorganize things in a way that the people will be served with the necessary social amenities that will improve their quality of life. So indeed, government taking the action it has taken in Makoko is not coming out of the blues. What is problematic, however, is that first, government used ambush tactics. In spite of that, government's primary responsibility is to take care of the people. Their right to shelter, their right to safety of their lives and property will be compromised with the present eviction. Children will probably be put in harm's way, in danger. People will lose their properties. A lot of unpleasantness will definitely happen to the people that are affected. Yes, we do know that sometimes when government needs to do the needful, it could be painful, but then we could have some form of arrangement as a palliative, to reduce. As a matter of fact, choosing the rainy season to effect this action is also quite challenging on its own, because if it pours now, and I'm sure most of the evictees from Makoko are yet to find alternative shelter. So if it pours from the heavens now, there will be a lot of implication, particularly for children, the vulnerable ones, the elderly, the invalid, the children, the women.
Safety, according to the Lagos State Commissioner for Waterfront, Segun Oniru, is the major reason why the state government embarked on the clearing exercise.
We all know what is going on around the world right now. Global warming, rising water level around the world, flood around the world. All you need to do is to switch on your television to any foreign channel and you see what water is doing to people around the world. Now, for the safety of these people that you're talking about, should we wait for such a thing to happen in Lagos before we move them on? Should we wait for spark from those pylon lines, the power lines around there, that will destroy the entire area before we move them on? One single spark from those power lines that hits one of those properties there, the entire thing is gone. The entire area will disappear. So, you know, yes, people have their own view on why government is doing this, why government is doing that. But at the end of the day, for the safety of the people in that area, that is why we're doing that clearance.
Residents say they don't buy the reasons of the government because they have lived close to the power line for decades without a single case of electrocution or death arising from sea level rise. The question they're asking is, if the place is so dangerous, how come it was not demolished before or during the last election? The unsafe neighborhood had prominent polling centers and most politicians came there to campaign.
When the time comes for politics now, these are the people you run to vote for you. And they come out in their hundreds, in their large numbers, to vote for the government. So what I think the government should have done would have been to meet people who know, not those who don't know.
These are the questions that we need to put forth before this government. Are you evicting the poor to provide space for the rich? Or you are doing this because you are sincerely concerned that sanitation and health and all of that challenges in that area needs to be addressed, and it cannot be done with the people being physically present. For instance, if government are taking a portion of Makoko and have gone ahead to replan and make it the modest place they want, and people see that, oh, this is what government is talking about, perhaps it will be faster to reach a compromise. But when the history that people can easily recollect is that of government, not only Lagos State government now, moving the poor from certain areas and reselling to the rich, then that's problematic.
Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Waterfront, Ministry of Physical Planning will take a look at the entire area to see what can be done there. A proper feasibility study needs to be carried out to bring something worthwhile about in that area. Shanty is not supposed to be along the waterfront. Shanty is not supposed to be anywhere in the state. It's environmental degradation happens when you have things like that. You have children that are born in places like that that they don't live beyond 5-6 years because of the environment that they're living in. So, you know, it's only proper and it's only best to bring sanity to the area and to make sure that our people live properly.
We are waiting to see what government intends to do with that area. It will be really a disappointment if a few years down the line we see billionaires having spring up in that area. There's nothing wrong with government trying to make a sense of the waterfront, bring some sanity, provide essential services and all of that. And there's nothing wrong in new developments happening there. But I want to see what kind of development will be seen. Is this something that will be accessible to all strata of society, or is it going to go to the highest bidder, as we have seen in other places, and also here in Lagos State?
With the demolition exercise of the Lagos State government in progress, is there any plan for the rehabilitation of evicted residents?
Well, the answer is no, because, they didn't just grow on that water. They've come from somewhere. It's only proper that they go back to wherever it is that they've come from and leave that water body alone, because it's not safe for them.
You don't have anywhere to stay, except sleeping inside the canoe or inside the boat.
The fact is this: people outside there, they also will have effects about that, because the fish they eat outside there, they are the product of what the hard work of people living in this community. So I would like the state government to consider them in a very, very big way, thereby commending them with something that will give them the fortitude to continue with their profession.
We are not saying that government necessarily will have to be responsible for providing houses for all of this, but government must help palliate in such a way that their transition to whatever they are going to do next will not be hard, because as it were, if people lose all that they have now, the chances of settling down into another area is difficult, whether another illegal area or a legal and properly planned area. That's problematic.
This community contributes to the fish supply of the state. This is, however, reducing because of the high rate of pollution. For the many Makoko people who claim they have nowhere to go, they really might not go anywhere after all, because despite the demolition, their means of survival is still the water. For now, many of the water slum settlers are still hopeful, while some have already relocated. The 2011 Human Development Report of the United Nations Development Programme shows that the world's most disadvantaged people suffer from environmental degradation, including in their immediate and personal environments. The report further emphasizes the human right to a healthy environment, importance of integrating social equity into environmental policies, and critical importance of public participation and official accountability.